Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Courage to Identify podcast with me, your host, Sharon Angel. Today, we're doing a little bit of a different format as we talk about the Israel-Palestine war. Now, of course, this is a controversial topic that has been politicized and has caused so much extremism, both online and on the ground. But I wanted to share a few of my thoughts, maybe give you a different perspective on this current war. As I've mentioned on social media, I've been patient to listen to both sides, both Israelis and Palestinians and everyone in between. And I'm learning that there have been wounded, there have been warriors, there have been victims, there have been survivors, abductors, hostages, extremists, and so many kinds of people. But I recently also came across the Abraham Accords, and I thought this is a good tool and this is a good way to bring both sides together or practice accountability as they have different opinions on different things. So I wanted to break that down a little bit more on this episode to share what are the Abraham Accords and why should we as South Asians, whether living in South Asia or in the West, take note of this Abraham Accords. So let's think through how should we go about this war in order to have an opinion, have an informed opinion, especially when it involves religion, and there's a cultural connotation behind that. Now, it's very important to understand that there's a difference between religion and there's a difference between culture. We cannot just assume that because people are Israeli, they will only be Jews, or because they are Arabs, they will only be Muslim or come from the Arab faith. There are Israeli Christians, there are Israeli Jews, there are Palestinian Christians, Palestinian Jews who practice the Judaic faith. There are Arabic Muslims, there are Israeli Muslims, and there's a combination of the religion and culture in the Israel and Palestine region. So it is very important to understand that the culture does not necessarily dictate a religion, or the religion does not necessarily dictate a culture. There are interlaced between both cultures and religions. And this is how their faith or this is how their lifestyle is influenced. And so you can see, because of this complication or because of this complicated people groups in such a land area, there can be many opinions, there can be many perspectives. And so it is important for anyone who wants to have an opinion on the Israel-Palestine war to understand that there are different people groups and they all come from different backgrounds. And it is important to respect each one of their opinions because they come from different backgrounds. I encourage you to do your research and understand settlements, understand land area, understand the treaties for each time period, whether the states followed them or not, and what really happened. What is the fact of the matter? I'm going to leave that research to you because depending on your background, depending on your faith, depending on your culture, you might have different opinions. And it is not my place to tell you this is what you should believe and why you should believe that. But I will encourage you to say that because the Israel-Palestine war is so complicated, you need to have a deep understanding of the past so that we can live in peace and harmony in the present and leave a well-informed opinion for our future generations. Now, to follow up with that, I would also encourage you not to use social media as your guide, as there are many extremist opinions and there are many extremist groups funding the news or funding content on social media and any kind of online content as well to promote hate, to promote negativity, to promote extremism, to make the people believe a certain narrative. These narratives have bias. These narratives might share stories that are not the reality in the real world. So I encourage you to read through different articles, read through different history books, and listen to long-form content so you can understand the context and the thought process behind the factual matter, or the thought process behind why people are saying what they are saying. So I would encourage you not to use social media as your guide, but really go in and do your research to understand both sides of the matter. by involving or having understanding of the past, present, and future. And now it's time to share about the Abraham Accords in order to understand what they are and why it is important for us to learn about it and even embrace it at such a broken time. And here to talk to us about the Abraham Accords is Sharon Tabor from Empower Women Media. Sharon, thank you for joining me in the Courage to Identify podcast. Now, you explained to me the Abraham Accords. What are they? The definition of that and how it can be used to preserve peace in this difficult time. So, what are the Abraham Accords?
Thank you, Sharon. I love sharing with you and your network. So essentially, the Abraham Accords was a signing between multiple Arab and Muslim and Jewish nations coming together to say, in light of literally thousands of years of hostility, how can we learn to live together for the global good? And the Abraham Accords was a signing, like a treaty. It's only a few paragraphs that essentially says, let's bring Arabs and Jews together to promote peace, to promote interreligious harmony, inclusion. And why? Because it's good for fostering peaceful and strong economic societies. So it's almost like an economic engine, believing that if we can bring these people together, that the Middle East will not only have peace, but greater economic prosperity. So we're very excited about this because we really don't have a template or a blueprint to promote peace in the Middle East. But this document, the Abraham Accords, which again is just a few paragraphs, you can Google it up, and you'll see that it has a very clear explanation of how we can bring Arabs and Jews together and promote peace in the Middle East.
Why is it important to promote peace in this difficult time?
Yeah, well, as we see since October 7th, it was highlighted again how much hostility and violence and religious persecution there is in the Middle East. So on October 7th, the Islamic Iranian regime funded Hamas to go in and attack Israelis at the Nova concert. And because of that conflict, that terrible war that has broken out for 10 months now, we realized that we need to reignite the Abraham Accords that were written in 2020. We need to reignite this commitment to peace in the Middle East. And it starts with the Arabs and Jews. And so that's why it's so important to continue to do this work of resolving the war between Israel and Hamas, and then promoting peace and unity. It's going to take a long time, several years, but we think it's possible. And we think the Abraham Accords is the blueprint to make it happen.
And why do you think people should care, especially my audience, people who are not Middle Eastern or who don't live in the West, specifically South Asians? Why should they care?
Yeah. Well, as we know, in Southeast Asia and India, there is a lot of religious-based issues, right? Conflicts. And in India and Southeast Asia, you also need peace. And you need to find ways for people to live together in multi-faith societies. So we believe that if we can have success with the Abraham Accords in the Middle East, it will spread. It will spread to Iran and Turkey. It'll spread east to Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, and Southeast Asia. So we're asking all people from all different cultures. We would love to have Indians and Bangladeshis and Sri Lankans and people from East Asia help us promote peace in the Middle East. The Middle East has the highest violations against women in the world. So if you care about women's rights, then come join us in the Middle East. So again, we believe if we can have peace among Arabs and Jews, it will spread. And we believe if we can make this work in the Middle East, it can spread as far as India and Southeast Asia. So we're inviting people from all over the world to participate in the Abraham Accords, to activate it, and believing that it will spread peace around the world.
Sharon, thank you so much for explaining this to us. This has definitely deepened my understanding of the Abraham Accords, and I'm sure it's given my audience a different perspective, a different approach on peace, especially in this Israel-Palestine war. What do you do? Share with us, what do you do? How can people be involved with you in the media space? You work in films, you work with many entertainers. how can my audience be involved in the Abrahamic Accords as you work with media?
Yes. Well, we believe, as Sharon does, that media is the fastest way to bring about change. It's been proven already that social media has maximized the women's movement, that we're just more active and more integrated as women through social media. And also, short films, as we know, is a great way to educate people and inform people. It's very enticing to watch a short film rather than just a post. So, because of that, we're hosting the Abraham Accords film competition, and you can submit a script and a film. And we're just looking for little 1 to 5 minute short films. It can be fiction, it could be a documentary, it can be animation, it can be experimental, it could be a music video. We're totally open to that. The film should inspire audiences to promote peace among Arabs and Jews and to have interfaith harmony. You can also go to our website, Empower Women Media. And that's where you can see other films that have been produced in the past. You can engage with us through Empower Women Media Instagram to get updates about our events. We have the Abrahamic panel events. So there you can kind of follow us in our calendar of activities to advance the Abraham Accords.
Thank you so much, Shireen. And it's great partnering with you on many of these projects because I believe that media can change, stories can change hearts. It can heal minds, it can bring an incredible perspective to people in order for them to advance and live fully and find their identity. So I love working with you on these projects. Thank you for being on my podcast and explaining to us the Abraham Accords.
You're welcome.
So to wrap up all our thoughts, I don't believe that religion should promote hate, promote extremism. I think any kind of religion that is given to us or that is taught to us, regardless of which country we are, which region we belong to, I think religion should propagate peace, should promote peace and bring people together and remove any kind of hierarchy and remove any kind of you are better than me thought process. As Shireen mentioned today, many of our leaders in many countries are using religion to divide people and put them on different parts of the stance to say, you are better than the other, and to remove the opportunities from those who are considered lesser than. So I don't believe that people should embrace that kind of thought process as it ostracizes one people group and kind of pushes the other unnecessarily. And this is why I believe the Abraham Accords is a good solution as it promotes accountability. Accountability for these leaders who signed to keep up their word, to keep up in action, to say that I'm signing this in order to promote peace, in order to unite my people and embrace harmony in the country. And I also think it is important for people to hold these leaders accountable, to see these peace treaties in action. Regardless of whether the country leaders or the country has signed a peace treaty or not, I think in our time and age, it is very important to bring extreme groups or extreme thought processes to the middle ground in order to promote peace, in order to promote harmony, as the rights of each individual is very important. Now, coming back to the freedom of belief from the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights, it quotes that everyone has the freedom of belief to follow a faith, to come back to their faith, and to not have a faith at all. So this is a human right that we all have as we live in these times of distress. Whatever our faith is, whatever our background is, whatever our religion is, I think it is important to be able to express that faith, manifest that faith without any interruptions, without any extremism. And it is also important to respect each other's faith so we can live in harmony, we can live in unity, and we can live in peace. I also believe the Abraham Accords is a good move to protect our neighbors at risk who might not share the same faith as us, who might not share the same cultural beliefs as we do. I believe that religion in general should be able to support and respect others who do not share our faith and be able to help them at times of vulnerability, help them at times of victimization, help them at times of ostracization. And if we are not able to do that, if we are not able to support the vulnerable, regardless of what faith or regardless of what culture they are, then it speaks volumes about the religion that we follow. It speaks volumes about who we are as people. And it also shows who our God is, or what principles we take on from the rules and the law and the teachings of our God. So I'm going to leave it right there for you to think about, for you to ponder, and also make a decision and come to an opinion on where you stand with the Israel-Palestine war. Do take a look at the Abraham Accords. You can Google for it, you can search for it, and you can have a deeper understanding as you watch other content, other videos, and do your own research. I think this is a good solution to promote peace and harmony and bring both sides, both extreme sides, to the middle ground. And so here is me talking about the Abraham Accords. I hope this was useful to you, and I encourage you to write in the comment section, what do you think about the Abraham Accords, or any opinions and any thoughts that you have about Israel or the Palestinian war. Of course, I encourage you to think about both sides. This is not a platform to promote extremism. This is not a platform to share extreme opinions, but a platform to encourage both sides coming together and sharing their thoughts and their views to promote peace. So write in the comment section below, and you can always follow me on social media. You can look up SharonAngel.com to see what projects I've been up to recently, and see how you can also get involved in these projects, as I partner with many organizations in order to promote peace and share about human rights. Thank you for tuning into the Courage to Identify podcast. This is Sharon Angel.